Imagine being 11 years old. You're standing in scorching heat, clutching your school books, while men with batons load your family onto a bus. Your only crime? Being born across the wrong border. This isn't a tale from some dystopian novel. It's happening now, at the border between Iran and Afghanistan. Over 500,000 Afghans, some undocumented, some documented, many children, have been forcibly expelled from Iran in just over 2 weeks. They are now stranded, without shelter, water, or even certainty of safety, in a country they no longer recognize as home. And while the world watches in silence, I couldn't help but think of another story. A story where a woman was dragged into a royal court, stripped of her dignity, abandoned by the very people who were supposed to protect her. That woman was Draupadi. That court was the Sabha of Hastinapur. And just like that ancient assembly, today's global community is watching quietly while vulnerable people are humiliated and displaced. This video isn't just about Iran and Afghanistan. It's about what we become when we stay silent. Between 24th June and 9th July, over 5 lakh Afghan migrants were expelled from Iran, according to the International Organization for Migration. On a single day, over 51,000 people crossed the border into Afghanistan, a mass movement of human beings unseen in decades. This followed a March 2025 policy by the Iranian government to begin deporting illegal migrants, especially Afghans. But the pace of deportations drastically accelerated after Iran's 12-day conflict with Israel ended. Why? Because Iranian state media began pushing unverified claims that Afghan migrants had been spying for Israel without presenting any credible evidence. Arrests were televised. Confessions were aired. A single accused individual, allegedly paid $2,000, was used to justify mass suspicion. Here's what followed. Thousands detained without food or water. Forced payments and bribes taken at checkpoints. Children separated from families. Legal residents deported without hearing. Schools shut down for Afghan children. Footage of migrants being chased, loaded into buses, and marched off to unknown destinations. UN experts, including Special Rapporteur Richard Bennett, have condemned these actions as ethnic scapegoating, dehumanization, and possible incitement to violence. Iran's official stance? We've always been good hosts. But national security is a priority. But here's the humanitarian twist. Afghanistan is not ready to receive this influx. A UNDP report shows 70% of Afghans live at subsistence level with drought, poverty, and a collapsing economy. Women's rights are non-existent under the Taliban. And still, over 1.6 million Afghans have been forced to return from Iran and Pakistan in the first half of 2025. The number may reach 3 million by year's end. This is not migration. This is exile. In the Mahabharat's Sabha Parva, Draupadi is dragged into court after her husband gambled her away. She pleads for justice, not just for herself, but for the moral compass of the realm. I ask you, elders, wise ones, Kshatriyas, am I property to be staked and lost? Bhishma stays silent. Drona lowers his eyes. Dhritarashtra says nothing. And the Kaurva court becomes a crime scene dressed as a legal system. That is exactly what's happening today. Children like Parisa, after 6 years of living legally in Iran, are told they cannot go to school, cannot stay, and must vanish. Migrants like Bashir are detained, beaten, and extorted. But no court hears their voice. No Kshatriya rises in their defense. And the global Sabha remains eerily silent. This isn't a foreign issue. It's a universal ethical failure. As the Gita says, 3.16. He who does not follow the wheel of duty, who lives for the senses, lives in vain. What is duty if not to speak for the voiceless? Iran calls these migrants illegal. But let's ask, what makes a person illegal? The Manusmriti in its chapter 7, verses 20 to 40 outlines a dharma of kings. A just ruler must not punish the innocent, must not target the weak, and must protect the guest, the stranger, the woman, the child. By this standard, Iran has violated every dharmic principle of justice. No due process, collective punishment, bribery and abuse of detainees, expulsion during life-threatening heat conditions. This isn't just a geopolitical action, it's a dharmic crime. And as Draupadi reminded her oppressors, a kingdom that forgets dharma rots from within. The Iranian narrative that Afghans are Israeli spies, despite no evidence, is a dangerous karmic loop. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 16, verses 4 and 5, Krishna lists the qualities of the demonic mindset. They are hypocrites, arrogant, harsh, and cruel. They blame others for their fate, sow confusion, and destroy harmony. Scapegoating vulnerable groups during internal instability is demonic karma. It brings not protection, but further instability. This is what the Vishnu Purana warns against. The ruler who plants fear among the innocent shall be reborn in lands without rain, without grain, and without peace. What is happening in Iran, a land also plagued by drought, unrest, and inflation, echoes this consequence. In Vedic times, hospitality wasn't optional, it was sacred. The Taittiriya Upanishad says, Atithi Devo Bhava, treat the guest as God. In this worldview, a stranger at your door is a test of your soul, not your politics. By abandoning hospitality, by expelling migrants into 40-degree heat with no water, by ignoring unaccompanied children, Iran has not failed law, it has failed dharma. And the Srimad Bhagavatam warns, when the weak are oppressed and the righteous fall silent, dharma departs the land. Where are the G20 nations, the OIC, the human rights bodies? The same places the elders of Hastinapur sat, frozen in politeness, scared of political consequence. The Gita says in chapter 2, to not act when action is righteous is in itself unrighteous. Draupadi asked a question that echoes today. Who among you will speak for justice, not fear, and still silence? The deportation of 500,000 Afghans from Iran is not just a story about migrants. It's a story about power, silence, and forgotten dharma. In Hinduism, justice is not about winning a court case, it's about restoring cosmic balance. In the Mahabharata, the silence of the Sabha led to war. In our world today, this silence could lead to something worse, a crisis of humanity itself. As students of Dharma, as viewers of this channel, as citizens of the world, we must ask, what kind of kingdom gambles its weakest citizens for political gain? What kind of Sabha watches children cry under a desert sun? And what kind of soul stays unmoved when the least among us are dragged away in silence? The scriptures tell us this. Dharma protects those who protect Dharma. Manusmriti 8.15. Let this not be a time when Dharma needs protection and finds no one left to speak. Let our voices be the ones that Draupadi never heard. Let our generation be the one that refuses to stay silent, no matter what court we're in. Om Shanti.